Water can carry frequencies. Water can carry energy and information. And what I want to tell people is you can structure water yourself by holding that glass of water in your hand and feeling love and gratitude and giving thanks for things in life and focusing on that water. So when we talk about just the normal function of body, hydrogen is necessary to the proper function of the body, from digestion. Stomach acid is HCl. What is the H? Hydrogen, of course. So without hydrogen, we can't even make stomach acid. Without hydrogen, we can't manage oxidation and inflammation in the body. So when we have gut disruption, now we're not going to have stomach acid. Now we're not going to have immune function. Now we're not going to have the way that our body is designed to ferment foods and digest nutrients properly. So we're going to end up with what we call gluten and dairy intolerance or gut issues in general. And then we're going to end up with anxiety and depression because we'll have the wrong kind of bacteria. We'll have more aerobic bacteria than we should.
Welcome everyone to Soul Communication. I'm Diana MaAra Divine, and I'm always excited to continue this journey of consciousness, of wellness, of our human potential. Today, we'll dive deeper into the body and talk about what it takes to really maintain this beautiful vehicle called body. How can we be on the spiritual journey, but also ensure we are thriving, we're taking care of ourselves? The old Western ways haven't been really working. And so we are now pioneering new technologies, quantum technologies, red light therapy, and others, which are really changing this landscape of how we can prevent some of these diseases. And today I have an exciting guest who's been on many shows like Joe Rogan. Dr. Barattiero is the founder of Lumenova and a leading advocate for performance-based red light therapy systems designed to support cellular health, recovery, and long-term vitality. Through Lumenova, Dr. Paul developed photobiomodulation devices engineered to deliver clinically relevant wavelengths and power densities. He's also a creator of a company called Echo, which creates hydrogen water. So we'll dive into many of these topics today. Welcome, Dr. Paul.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I am so excited to talk about health and wealth because wealth, I think we always think in as monetary, but it's really abundance that we moving towards as we get better. Let's be the best humans we can possibly be. And you've been on this journey for a while. You've created these companies. You've been out there pioneering wellness space. What excites you today about where we are as humanity, especially when it comes to this influx moment we're in on the spiritual level, on the wellness level?
What excites me the most is having people accomplish their divine potential. So, what I mean by that is everyone can live a pain-free life. And that's what I want to be a very small part of, is them accomplishing their potential and living the best life they can live and not having unnecessary pain, not having unnecessary disease models. That's really what my mission has been for the last 30 plus years. 20 years ago, I was married 10 years. I've been married 32 years now, but I was married 10 years and my wife was not doing well. She had thyroid issues, gynecological issues, anemia, on and on it goes. And I was very concerned that I might lose her. And I didn't want that. I like her a lot. So the bottom line is I tried everything. I was trying to figure out how to help her. And at that time, my world was focused on diabetes and preventing decubitus ulcers on the feet. And the things that were wrong with her, I wasn't an expert in at that time. And so I was just looking for any help I could find anywhere, and ended up, we helped her. And of course, she's still very much alive and enjoying life. And so after helping her 20 years ago, I was like, I bet you there's other men or husbands and wives who don't know what to do about themselves or one of their loved ones that are suffering. And I said, I want to help everyone. And so the companies that I have today are a result of helping my wife and the passion that I felt when our life was changed by her feeling better.
Beautiful. I don't know which company started first, but I think you were mentioning the hydrogen water. How did that came about? Why hydrogen? Walk us through understanding why it's important to drink hydrogen water.
First of all, I started with the hydrogen and understanding hydrogen and lecturing on hydrogen back in 2009. And so it was a long time ago now, almost 17, 18 years ago. And everyone thought I was crazy. And then 2 years later, a number of studies came out and everyone said, "Oh, you're brilliant." So it just took me 2 years to go from being an idiot to being brilliant, right? So sometimes you just have to keep the course. But I didn't have any understanding of hydrogen prior to beginning to do research. So my wife was helped, and I was like, wait a minute, what happened? Why did this help her? And no one seemed to understand it. And so I wanted to do deep research on hydrogen. And what I came to understand is really what everyone needs to understand. And that is your body, my body, everyone's body is designed to create hydrogen gas internally. So when we digest or ferment food in the colon, for example, just like a car has a tailpipe, we have a tailpipe. And when we convert things into energy, there is gases that are produced as a byprocess. Just like a car has gases that are processed, we have gases. And so hydrogen and methane are two of the gases that are produced in our body through the fermentation. But that requires that our body or our gut or our intestinal tract is working properly. And it is estimated that 90% of the population have a dysfunctioning gut. If they have a gut that's dysfunctioning, then they are not able to produce hydrogen naturally and normally the way they're supposed to. Also, they do not have the proper immune function because 70% of immune function is tied to the bacteria in the gut. So when we talk about just the normal function of body, hydrogen is necessary to the proper function of the body from digestion. Stomach acid is HCl. What is the H? Hydrogen, of course. So without hydrogen, we can't even make stomach acid. Without hydrogen, we can't manage oxidation and inflammation in the body. So when we have gut disruption, now we're not going to have stomach acid. Now we're not going to have immune function. Now we're not going to have the way that our body is designed to ferment foods and digest nutrients properly. So we're going to end up with what we call gluten and dairy intolerance or gut issues in general. And then we're going to end up with anxiety and depression because we'll have the wrong kind of bacteria. We'll have more aerobic bacteria than we should. And so that's the reality of most people walking around. If 90% of the population has gut issues, then 90% of the population has more anxiety and depression than they should, less immune function than they should, improper digestion, food cravings for sugar and carbs because they have more aerobic bacteria than they should. When we can flip the polarity of the intestinal tract from a positive electrical charge to a negative electrical charge, we end up with more anaerobic microflora. And anaerobic is what should be in our gut. 96 to 99% of the bacteria in the gut should be anaerobic. And if that was the case, we would crave fiber and fats. We would have less anxiety and depression. We would have less oxidative stress and inflammation in our body. We would have more mitochondrial function, more ATP. So, in saying that, I'm saying that when you supplement hydrogen, like Echo Water that has hydrogen gas in it, you have all these normal functions. Like you should have proper energy. You shouldn't be tired all the time. You shouldn't be only eating 10 different foods because you can't eat the rest without having diarrhea. You should be able to sleep properly. You should be able to run around the block without feeling fatigued. All these things are normal and natural, but if our gut is disrupted, they are not normal and natural because we've lost the proper function. And so Drinking Echo water, because of the hydrogen gas in it, restores the normal function of the gut in 2 weeks normally. So that's what I've been doing for 20 years is that. And then officially Echo was established 16 years ago to help people to function the way they're supposed to, the way they're designed to. And of course, I got into red light and infrared light because that mimics the sun. So hydrogen mimics what should be happening in the body. And getting hydrogen into the body is to get hydrogen back where it's supposed to be because your body is designed to produce it on its own. With red and infrared light and UVB for vitamin D, we're mimicking the sun because most people don't go in the sun the way they're supposed to. And if you live places where I live in Utah in the mountains, it's chilly sometimes of the year. So you're not going to go outside with no clothes on or a bathing suit because it's too cold outside. So where are you going to get sunlight? And even if you were crazy enough to go outside in the winter with a bathing suit on, there's no UVB and there's no UV in the light. So you're not going to get vitamin D from the sun anyways, because during the winter it changes. So really everything that I've done is to mimic nature and allow individuals to get what they need no matter where they live and no matter what the outside temperature or environment is.
So powerful. I haven't tried your Echo Water, so that's yet to experiment, and it's really exciting. I know I've tried Fiji water,
Mhm.
and it has silica, and the water comes from the Fiji Islands. And just having the silica alone, I've noticed people who've in my family tried it for a month. You were saying 2 weeks. The aluminum deposits, especially I live in New Jersey, so my family lives in New York City. There's so many pollutions here, obviously, and just trying Fiji water, a lot of that metal deposits, especially aluminum, seems to be binded by the silicon flashed out, and amazing results just from that alone. So water, we are more than 70% water,
Right.
right? We are aqua beings in many ways. So it just makes sense. I feel this whole universal structure is very much hydrogen based.
Right.
You were mentioning before we got on a podcast, there's different type of hydrogen water that the devices we have at home are not really producing the right type of hydrogen water. Maybe you can dive a little deeper so those who are listening, they're like, I have this hydrogen thing. Maybe I can activate my water. What's the difference?
So there's a vast difference. When Joe Rogan talked about Echo Water, when Gary Brecka went on the podcast with Joe and talked about Echo Water, unfortunately, they talked about hydrogen water more than saying the word Echo Water. And what happened was a bunch of companies from China that have inferior products all of a sudden put these bottles on Amazon and Alibaba at a low price and just sold them as a hydrogen bottle. And the reality is 99% of those products aren't really hydrogen bottles. They are producing very little to no hydrogen and they produce chlorine. And so people are talking about how bad the water tastes. In our product, in an Echo Flask, or at the time was the Echo Go Plus, now we have the Echo Flask, which is a much, much more advanced product with a touchscreen and an app to record how much water you're drinking, how much hydrogen you're getting, and it'll send that info to Apple devices and other devices that you could be wearing to track how much water you're drinking. We have a proton exchange membrane, and we're only putting H2 gas into the water, and out the bottom of the device is like a filter that sends the ozone, chlorine, oxygen out of the bottle because effectively you're separating water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen, and we're sending the oxygen out to atmosphere to be able to breathe, and we're just dissolving the H2 gas. There's no other bottle that performs to the level of the Echo Flask. We can produce 6 to 8 over 8 parts per million. That's 16 times what's considered therapeutic. And that's using distilled water or reverse osmosis, so pure water with no contaminants. And there's no other bottle that can accomplish that. There's people that say a lot of things on the internet, but what people should do is make sure that the product they're buying has IHSA certification. That's the International Hydrogen Standards Association. If the product you're looking to buy doesn't have their stamp of approval, you should never buy it because it's not a true hydrogen product. And then there should be testing from independent laboratories showing through gas chromatography, not other sketchy ways of testing hydrogen, just gas chromatography. And it should show through H2 analytics. That's the only laboratory here in the US that does that. But there should be a test result showing how much hydrogen you're dissolving in the water. And so these are the kind of things people should look at when they're buying a device, because there are so many scam products out there. And effectively, people are going to buy a scam product and it's not going to do a whole lot for them, or it might do a little bit of good for them. But then when they get an Echo device, it's life changing. It's like a whole nother level of experience, from sleeping to joint issues to brain issues to heart to lungs to diabetes, Parkinson's, also all these kind of things. That's the difference. Is Echo is providing you actual hydrogen, and our Echo Flask has a 5-year warranty. So you can count on it for a minimum of 5 years.
So to your point, I know you live in Utah in the mountains. I live in New Jersey. The water in New Jersey, I think the most atrocious water there's in the country.
Yeah.
Even New York City has better water, and
Oh,
I've
yeah.
tested the pH level and all that because it comes from the reservoirs from the north, and ours, I don't even know, it's coming through what pipes. We've been using zero filter and reverse osmosis. Maybe we can also talk about the difference why structured water and hydrogen water is important. And for someone like me, how do I treat my water? Do I first need to clear all these metals out and take it through a few processes until it's good water?
Yeah, I would say I have this saying, don't be a filter, buy a filter. And don't cause your body to get rid of the metals. Get rid of them before the water enters your body. So we at echowater.com, that's our website, we have whole house filtration systems starting from a low price up to a high price, depending on how much people want removed. We also have under sink reverse osmosis systems that don't have a tank for mold to grow in. We actually have an on demand reverse osmosis system that cleans the water, 99.7% clear water, right? And then you have hydrogen put in that water. So when you're drinking that water, it's pure with hydrogen. It helps your body so much. That's been proven false. But water can carry frequencies. Water can carry energy and information. And what I want to tell people is you can structure water yourself by holding that glass of water in your hand and feeling love and gratitude and giving thanks for things in life and focusing on that water. You can broadcast energy into that. And so here's the thing I want people to understand. If that's true, and maybe everyone doesn't believe that's true, that you can structure water yourself. If that's true, that means all the water in you is getting structured, good or bad, depending on what you think and what you feel. And if you have hatred, you're structuring the water in your body with hatred. If you're feeling love and gratitude and patience and kindness, you're structuring the water. So if holding a glass, you can structure water, definitely the water in your body is being structured based on your energy, whatever you're resonating, whatever you're broadcasting. So I want people to understand that somehow you can't just structure water in a glass, but not structure the water in your body. Trust me, you're structuring all of it. So be careful what you think and feel. And so I do believe very much in water carrying energy, water being able to carry energy, and that you can feel gratitude and love. And that water can taste different after you hold it in your right hand, particularly. It's really your right hand that you would broadcast from. So, anyways, that's my thing. I would tell you that Echo Water is structured. We are going through a process that does give it good energy and good structuring in the device. So that's already included in what people are.
Very good point. And Emoto Institute done a lot of experiments, like you put label hate on the water versus love, and it shows
Yeah.
completely different molecule structure. So intentions really matter. I always love to also look at like ancient times.
Hmm.
In ancient times, they always pray to the water,
Yeah.
like they put the positive intentions or channel some songs to it. So water is very much alive and carries a lot of memory. And so I do a lot of work with water around the world. So for instance, I was in Iceland with a glacier, and the glacier is really alive. It's melting, but there's a lot of information stored in that glacier for thousands of years. One of the oldest glaciers in the world.
Yeah.
Water is really powerful, and you can go outside to your little pond in your neighborhood and work with the water as well. I think we definitely very connected to that element. So we talked about the flow of the water and the importance of it. What about the sun? There's a lot of solar activity right now. And I know a lot of people also struggle with, first of all, during COVID, we all sent home and people didn't get vitamin D. And we know now that if
Hmm.
vitamin D level were high, a lot of these things could have been prevented. For me, if I don't get my sun in the wintertime, I feel it. I have to go to Florida. I work with the sun and the codes, the infrared in the morning and doing sun gazing. Back in the days, I couldn't do that. I was crying, but now I train my eyes and there's no problem at all. Maybe we can dive deeper into what does it really do for us and why
Yeah.
people are not getting enough sun these days. Like the children, my kid just came from school. I can hear him and he's not really out there for 2 hours a day like he needs to.
Yeah. Sun and light in general can do a lot. I think we as people a lot of times focus on therapies like light, and we're focusing on certain nanometers of light, but we forget that's all in the sun. But not everybody's going outside. Not everybody is planning time to go outside. Most people stay up late. They get up right before they need to leave and take the kids to school or go to work, and they're in a rush the rest of the day. Then they get to work and they're doing their thing at work. They rush out to get food or they eat in a lunchroom, fluorescent lights, everything going on. And then they rush home and it's 5 o'clock. There's not much sun left, anyways. If you were to go outside at 5 o'clock, it's not going to give you the kind of sun that you would in the middle of the day. So the reality is, lifestyle is what it is. And most people are not going to change their lifestyle because they got to pay the bills, they got to do what they do. So when we talk about normal lifestyle, people are staying up watching shows, trying to spend a little time with their loved ones. And then maybe if it's parents, the kids are finally in bed, right? And then they watch a show to wind down. Then they go to bed, and then they're usually getting up just enough time to get ready, get the kids off to school, and get to work. And then they're all day at work, and then they come home, and it's 5 o'clock. The sun is already in some places starting its process to go down. So you definitely don't have the proper light that you would need to have the benefits that you would want to have. So that's why I created all kinds of products that can mimic nature. So in your own home, you can have devices that can be a red light bed, which would be the best and the most powerful, or a half bed, or even the sleeping bag type product that we developed where someone could be in that for 30 minutes to an hour and get the light that they need for their body in the comforts of their home. And we talked earlier about the fact that when it's cold outside, people aren't going to go out and they're always going to have clothes on, right? Like head to toe covered. So again, it can be difficult in some cases just through normal temperature changes in the year that you're not going to go out. And places that are cold in the climate are usually going to have less powerful sun in the wintertime, anyways. So it's really good to mimic the benefits of the sun with devices that are going to provide things. Now, I personally believe all wavelengths of light have benefits. However, we are talking about red light and infrared light and how beneficial that is because it has been studied. There's over 10,000 studies now showing the benefits with red and infrared light.
So for someone who's just starting off and they're like, okay, so I sit at home and they get the blue light from the technology. So maybe explain to them the difference between these different, as you said, streams of light, like the blue light versus the red light. Why is one more beneficial than another?
Red light is really good for organs, cell viability, changing the function of mitochondrial function. Blue light, green light, those can be good for skin, but they're not really good to have inside the body. They're designed to help externally. That's where we need to be a little bit more smart is what wavelength of light do I really need for my body and what's it going to do for me? That's really what we need to understand is what's it going to do for me? What do I need? Do I need inflammatory response reduction? What do I really need? And so that's the whole point of red and infrared is getting the tissue viability, getting inflammation reduced, getting more ATP or more energy so you feel an energy boost. And most people, when they do go in the sun, it's not like they're going to be the Energizer Bunny, but they will feel a little bit more energy when they go in the sun. And it's very good for you. And I'm not talking lay out there for 6 hours and get burned to a crisp. I'm I'm really
Mhm.
talking about getting sensible sun so that we can have the benefits. We can make sure that we're doing those things that are good for us but aren't harmful. And if you go outside for 15 minutes when the sun is really strong, there are tons of benefits. And the things that I would talk about are for skin health, benefits with all of your collagen, the wound care, increase of energy. And everybody looks a little better with a little color on their skin. Usually people like the way they look, anyways, when it comes to how you're going to feel, how you're going to do. There's a lot of things, believe it or not, that happen in the body when light is used. And so we know when people are in dark environments, they get more depressed, they get less energetic. And so we just got to use common sense and be outside more.
Cycles in nature, right? So if you live in Florida, you
Yeah.
get much more sun exposure, and people seem happier. Honestly, in the wintertime, in Florida, for me, is like a must in February
Yeah.
or somewhere warm because my sister lives down in Florida and they get adjusted too because sometimes it gets too hot. Or it hits that threshold where there is too much sun. And there is always quantum biology science coming out where they're measuring emissions of light, the biophotonic emission from DNA from our cells.
Yeah.
That is exciting because that proves that we are no different, right? We are light beings and we can have all this light quotient in our system. And so you were talking about energy. For me, I do Kundalini activation. I can see my field expands. The minute I'm out there in the sun, I get activated
Yes.
right away. So it's very real for me and very visceral reaction. I'm like, I'm online very quickly. So it's really powerful. And the sun, Solaris, there's so many suns, so many stars
Yeah.
in other constellations, and they all, I believe, interconnected. So there's also cosmic upgrade of sorts happening when there's all these solar storms and geomagnetic storms. They really get impacted because we having the solar maximum right now. So our body are also retuning. Do you believe our body is much more capable than what we think it is? What is really the human potential? Because I've been gleaming into incredible things we can do. I feel like our DNA is mutated. I feel things are changing we can't even scientifically yet prove.
Yeah. I agree that we are capable of a lot more than we think from a spiritual perspective, from a physical perspective as well, from a emotional perspective. I think we spend too much time in victim land. I think we spend too much time in being acted upon instead of acting. But that's another whole podcast and conversation. But I think we're capable of tremendous things. I think that when you go into the studies on people and their abilities with their minds, it can get pretty crazy. We can definitely get crazy, we can see people that are able to do amazing things when they focus on it. No, there's some people that in meditation, they can do incredible things for healing, or some people do meditations where they imagine going inside their body and they have a spray bottle with healing liquid and they spray their organs that are sick, and then now the organs are better. That's powerful stuff, right? I don't know that you could study that, because is that really duplicatable? No, but it's powerful to think about that people are capable. And so I just believe that our minds are incredible. I believe that our faith is incredible. I believe when we believe something is going to happen, that belief system is powerful. So I don't know. I believe that we're capable of far more than we utilize. And I think part of that is purposeful, and part of because it keeps us out of trouble. But part of that is the fact that we throttle ourselves because it's scary to think about what we're capable of in a quantum realm or in a realm outside of what we see in front of us. Because a lot of people just believe what they see, but there's a lot of things beyond what. So I don't know. I can tell you that light is powerful. I think it's a completely different feeling in the dark than in the light. And I think people understand that no matter where they are in their process of understanding energy or whatever else. But light is different than dark, that's for sure. And I think most people feel good in light than in the dark. And so I would say spend more time there. We are making devices that reproduce the beneficial parts of light versus the harmful parts of light. But that's effectively what we're doing. And we're doing it for inflammation reduction. We're doing it for people that want increased blood flow and oxygenation. Light does that, right? And so as we talk about all these things, so many people are taking pills and medications and potions and lotions and all kinds of stuff. And yet, light can do a lot of things like cellular repair and gene expressions where people are taking things to do this kind of thing. When we talk about our nervous system, when we talk about our brain activation, when we talk about mitochondrial function and ATP and increased energy, the light can do that. When we talk about sleep improvements, we just had a lady that was 82 years old who wasn't able to sleep without medication. She went and got a red light bed twice and she's sleeping without medication. That's pretty powerful, I think. If you can accomplish that change with light, that's pretty impactful to her, where she didn't have to take a medication anymore. And she barely has money to pay for the medication. She's 82 years old, living on Social Security. And so she's struggling anyways. But the fact that she was able to sleep without medication, I think is amazing. And a lot of people have gut issues, so they're going to have low ATP production. They're going to have low, we talked about that with the hydrogen. Yeah. And getting hydrogen back in, but also light, getting light back into your life. And so that's where I focus my work, is duplicating what nature already has done for us and what the body is supposed to do on its own. I like having people get hydrogen into their body and light into their body. So those are the two things that I focus on.
Definitely. In terms of longevity, I think the science and all the technologies developing so much right now that you'll mention the 80-year-old woman, but whether she lives till 100 or not, at least her way of living is just more gentle.
Yeah.
It's not in suffering, because the medication is just numbing them.
Yeah.
It's not really helping them to be fully functional here. There was this one device I remember I got from another company, and it was also red light, and you put it just kind of like a watch. That was supposed to help with thinning of the blood. And I think some of my family members,
Dr. Mealy, Jenny Mealy.
I think it was through Solex.
Okay.
There's so many companies now doing all kinds of things. But it was incredible because my mother-in-law went to her doctor using that device, and he's, "Oh, your blood is much better. Like
Yeah.
it was thinner, it was more flowy." I love the reaction from the doctors,
Yeah,
because
whoa.
whoa, like how did this happen? There's more and more functional doctors, so it's getting there. But
Right.
majority of the doctors is still in the kind of the old paradigm way. And when they see miracles like that, they cannot even believe it.
Yeah, they always like to play the game like, keep doing it. It's working for you. I don't know why, but it's just like, figure it out. Figure it out, doc. But yeah, I've always been natural leaning. I'm a naturopath. I'm a naturopathic doctor. So that's right, am. So it makes sense to me. But I think nature holds a lot of things. And I think most supplements are just mimicking what already should be happening. I can tell you hydrogen does what so many supplements do. And I tell people all the time, you're already paying for Echo Water. You just don't know that you're paying for it because you're buying the anti-inflammatories, you're buying sleep aids, you're buying things to increase your energy, you're buying all these things. And yet that's what hydrogen is supposed to do. And if you get hydrogen back in your body, you'll also have higher immune function. So you're not as susceptible to invasion or attack. And I always tell people, you're already paying for it, but you might as well fix your body instead of having a Band-Aid. I don't like Band-Aids. When I cut myself, I use a Band-Aid, but I don't like Band-Aids in the body. I like to fix the source problem so that we are functioning the way we're designed to function, because then those effects have a longer tail of feeling better and doing better and not having to have 15, 20 things we're taking every day, because a lot of it is expensive pee at the end of the day because we don't absorb as much of things as we think we do.
Yeah. And you mentioned the minerals in the food. The minerals are not in the food anymore because the soil is depleted. So it gets into that vicious cycle of like where we get in the minerals from as well.
We don't need a lot of minerals. We just need a small amount every day. And food, it depends on what kind of food. I eat mostly organic, non-GMO food. So there's definitely minerals in that. But if you're eating out of a box, no, there's no minerals in that. But if you're eating real food or raw foods, or not even raw, just like vegetables and things, you're going to get enough minerals in that food for sure. But I would encourage everyone to have a garden, have a little garden. My wife has a little herb garden that's probably 3 feet. It's just a small little thing right outside our kitchen sliding door. We go out on the balcony. She's growing herbs there. In the kitchen right now is probably 30 different little herb things that she's ready to get her garden going again this year. To have herbs to actually, instead of going to the store, we just grab it and put it in the food. Outside on our property, she has these raised bed gardens where has tomatoes, and she's got all, and she just told me yesterday, hey, honey, I was just talking to, and they have a raspberry bush that's 20 years old. And in 2 weeks, she said it'll be ready for her to graft and give us part of it so we can put it. And she goes, where do you think we should put that? And I said, definitely in one of the raised beds because raspberries will go everywhere otherwise. But I think it's a good thing to learn a little bit. I'm not saying get a 5-acre garden. I'm saying you can grow a lot of food in a small area, believe it or not. And working in that every day will put you in the sun. It will put your fingers in some dirt, which is good for you. Actually eating the food that you grew. What a concept of growing food, right? And actually knowing what was put on that food, and starting with heirloom seeds and starting with something that is actually normal and natural, and knowing where it came from instead of having frankenfood, as I call it sometimes. So I don't know. I think that you could find joy in doing a little bit of gardening. I'm not saying create a whole big thing, but you'll be surprised how much food you can grow in a small area for one family.
Totally true. I'm growing in the pots as well, so you don't even need raised gardens. You
Right.
can just
That's true.
go small. But I also have a little herb, also raised thing that we don't have to go big right away, but it's just the awareness. And I think you started with that. It's what we consume. We are. Don't be the filter. I like that idea. Don't be the filter for all the toxicity, right?
Yeah.
Be
Be a
really
filter, buy a
conscientious.
filter. Yep.
Yeah,
No, I
definitely.
agree. I think a lot of it's common sense, and I think we get in our minds You think about microwave popcorn, right? My wife makes popcorn on the stove. Do you know it's faster? I've timed it before. You know it's faster to do it on the stove than in a microwave?
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't have microwaves.
Well, yeah, but that's my
And
point is
and anytime I did have it, I stored dishes.
right, there you go.
Yeah.
But literally, she'll put a pot on the stove. We have a gas stove, but she'll put it on the stove and she'll make popcorn, organic popcorn, of course, but she'll make popcorn faster than you could make it. And you don't have all the chemicals. You don't have the fake butters and the fake oils and the fake stuff. And you don't have the plastic of the inside of a bag, right? It's so much different. It's better. And so I just find we have gotten sold that all these things are faster and better, but actually they're just more expensive, a way to get toxins in our body, and they're less efficient than just putting a pot with a little bit of oil and put some popcorn kernels in it. You can then know what oil quality did you put in there, what pot did you use, what popcorn kernels did you use, and then just make popcorn. And then you could put real butter if you want and some real salt or not. I don't particularly put but butter's great for you, right? And so put it on there. Do whatever you want to do is my point. Put some chocolate chips in there too if they're organic chocolate chip. Put those in there. Whatever you got to do, might make it as exciting as possible and treat yourself. But the point is we can do things naturally like it used to be done, and we're going to have less issues. Less issues.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
what do we have? One tomato plant and the raised garden outside, and we're giving tomatoes away because it makes too many. It makes too many for us. There's only 3 people in our family, so we're now giving tomatoes away. And my wife has 3 different types of tomatoes too. And my son, we're Italian, so he loves to make sauce and pasta and stuff. And the reality is that you can grow, like you said, in a very small area. I think my wife has 3 raised beds. That's all. And they're like maybe 6 feet. One's 4 feet, 2 or 6 feet. That's it. And we literally have like all kinds of stuff growing in there. And she's, oh, here's cucumber. Here's this, here's that. I'm like, wow, this is great, babe. This is so awesome. And we're eating the food. She did a pumpkin. It's crazy. What, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's easier than you think. And we're in Utah, right? We have summertime that doesn't, we've got 3 months and we don't have a lot of humidity. We don't have a lot of, so it's not even as easy as Florida. Florida, you could grow more. You could grow more things. But my wife wants to do fruit trees now and she wants to do some berries and things. And I'm like, oh, I love raspberries.
Yeah, we all love raspberries.
Oh, so anyways.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Barattiero, for this conversation, because I think as we wrapping up, it's important to know that all is possible for you. Each one of us can be conscious consumer, and especially when it comes to food, to what we intake into the body, how it can make our body more vital. How can someone reach out to you, or where can they get the hydrogen water?
So echowater.com, ECHO, like echo, water.com. And then for the red light products, Luma, Luma, Nova, Nova. So lumanova.com. And they can look at all the red light products there. If people really want to geek out on the studies, for hydrogen, it's hydrogen studies with an S, hydrogenstudies.com. And if they want to look at studies on red light, it's redlightstudies.com. That's where the research is. People can go and check that out. Obviously, please, we just opened the Lumenova page on Instagram. I think we have 60 followers. Please go like us on there so at least we have some friends in the social media world when it comes to Lumenova. I think Echo, we have 100,000. You can always please go like that as well. But we do great posts. I'm on podcasts. You can see them there. You can also go on Instagram to Dr. Paul Barattiero. My name is spelling is hard, but the reality is I'm on Instagram as well. But that obviously the world is very social engineered, but go and like us on Instagram with Echo Water and with Lumenova RLT. The Lumenova Instagram page is Lumenova RLT for red light therapy. But thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and to educate. I hope that people will hear this and go do something about it, because literally people are suffering from gut issues and joint issues. And if that's and digestion, if nothing else, drinking Echo Water can fix the gut, help your digestive issues and joint issues and your mental clarity. That's it. And those weekend warriors like me that want to go run around the block and you can't go as far maybe as you want, you can go further. And those people that want changes in their skin, red light, right? That's increased energy, red light, all the things. So I'm hoping that people not only do something about this information, but then go tell a few people to listen to this podcast.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in and being open minded. Stay curious and explore. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode. You can visit my website, dianadivine.com. I'm Diana Divine, and keep connecting with your higher self.